What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Fight IQ. We have probably the biggest episode of Fight IQ in channel history. Okay? This is UFC 314. We're doing a deep dive on the card, okay? Obviously, the flag's out, okay? It's Volk Fight Week, okay? It's Volk Fight Week. We haven't had one of these in a while. So, obviously, I'm going to be turning up for this one. We're going to be doing a pretty deep dive here on this card. There's a lot of really good fights that we need to go through. Okay, a lot of big names jammed into this one card. So, I'm going to do my best to give each and every fighter the segment that they deserve. So, yeah. Without any further ado, we're just going to jump straight in. Nora Canoli versus Haley Cohen. The big first fight of the night in Miami. It's going to be an empty stadium, but we're going to look at these two young women to just go out there and put their hands out, okay? Let the leather fly, right? Nora Canoli, French native, versus Haley Cohen of the United States. Both of these women are sort of strikers. You know, they got a bit of a striking rap about them. They don't do too much of the grappling. As you can see, the takedown average is not all there. Significant strikes and strike rate, strikes landed per minute, that's there. So just by stats, we can tell both of these women are strikers. So expect for a 3-round decision, and I'm going to look for it to go the way of Nora Canoli. Okay, I just think the French native's going to have what it takes to get this one done. She looks a little bit more durable. She's got these warrior style tattoos. And yeah, I think she's going to be a lot more durable, and I think she's going to go out there and throw the bigger, more significant strikes against the Haley Cohen. So, and plus, Nora Canoli, she's a bit of a win one, lose one. She had 3 fights in the UFC, 1 of them being a loss, 2 of them being a win. And Haley Cohen has got 1 fight in the UFC, and it was a loss. So, on to the next fight, Tresean Gore versus Marco Tulio. This is the first probably high-skilled fight of the night, okay? Both of these guys, kind of prospects at that stage before you're a prospect, okay? Marco Tulio has 1 fight in the UFC with a big win over, what's this guy's name? What's this guy's name? Potiera. Big win over Potiera, okay? For your first win in the UFC, it's a pretty big one to have. Whereas Tresean Gore, he's just coming off a win against Tricoli, I'm pretty sure. And he's lost one to Brundage. So losing to Brundage isn't the best look, but that was his debut fight, I believe. Both of these guys have got what it takes. Oh, no, sorry. I was completely wrong there. His first win was against Brian Battle. So 2 losses coming in the UFC, but now he's got 2 wins in the UFC. And Brian Battle is a pretty justifiable loss for a debut fight, whereas Cody Brundage, on the other hand, you may be letting a little bit, sink through the gaps, if you will. He's kind of probably kind of letting one on there with Cody Brundage. Not saying Cody Brundage isn't a top level fighter, but come on. Tresean Gore 6-2. Tulio is 13-1. Tulio going into this fight is the favourite, I believe, just off paper. 13-1. A win over Potiera in his debut. This guy's got power. Okay, he's got power. 69% wins by TKO. Sitting up against Tresean Gore's heavy submission game. And the grappling, we look at the grappling stats, Tresean Gore is the better grappler. On paper, sometimes you get these on-paper fights, and then it goes in there, and then the fighter who is predicted to be a worse striker ends up outstriking the other guy, okay? So this is the pick game. This is the fight game, and it's hard to pick sometimes, but both of these guys, talented athletes, and they're good in their own retrospect. Tresean Gore being more of a grappling, well-rounded fighter, whereas Tulio probably has the better striking. This is going to be one of them fights you really need to see it in the cage to know what we're going to see. This is a hard one. It's a hard one to pick. I want to ride with the young, hungry up-and-comer Tulio. But I just think a lot of the times, if these prelim fighters aren't ready for a grappler, they tend to get steamrolled. So I'm going to go Tresean Gore probably by a submission. I could see a Tresean Gore sub early in the round. I think he probably has the better gas tank. So yeah, Tresean Gore either by submission or decision. Up next, Sudameri versus Mitch Ramposa. Mitch Ramposa, this is a flyweight bout. Mitch Ramposa, one fight in the UFC, loses it, gets cut, but he's back. And he's going up against Sudameri, who, if you don't know, is 3-0 in the UFC, and not the good 3-0. 3 losses and 0 wins. So, looking at it, outside looking in, this is a layup fight for Mitch Ramposa, okay? This is a bit of a fight to get him in the win column in the UFC. But, a lot of these Fight IQ videos, I tend to pick the guys with the better records, I see who they're up against, the Borgias, and I tend to pick against these Borgias, if you will, just because of their, fight history in the UFC. But sometimes these fighters just have a rough start. That being said, I'm going to go Mitch Ramposa, just because 0-3, and Sudameri has some pretty tough losses in there, but 0-3, it's a hard one to get a wrap on. So I'm going to go Mitch Ramposa here to probably cruise through at a decision. I'd say either split or UD. So yeah, give me Mitch Ramposa on this one. Not too much to talk about that one. Sorry. Cedricus Dumas versus Michael Olajczyk. Right. Don't crucify me there for that one. Michelle, rather, even. I'm going... This is a tough one, because Cedricus Dumas, in my opinion, has always looked pretty good in his UFC fights. He always tends to be a bit of a slicker striker. Don't get me wrong, he's not the best striker in the UFC. Stats say here, he is, as far as striking goes, he's not the better man, okay? As far as striking goes, he is outgunned, right? And he doesn't really have the height, and he doesn't really have the reach. So this is actually a closer fight than a lot of people tend to look at. You see the record, Dumas with 2 losses, and his last big loss, I'm pretty sure, was against Ruziboyev. So, look, when this fight first got announced, I actually was leaning towards Dumas, just because I thought, he's probably a little bit hungrier, probably wants it a little bit more. But, can't look past Olajczyk. So, it's going to be a striking battle, nonetheless. I think we're probably going to see a knockout in this one. I don't think it's going to go the distance, and if it does, okay, and this is the silver lining for it. If this goes the distance, I think it goes the way of Cedric Dumas. But if it ends via finish, I'd probably put my money on Olajczyk. Michael. Okay. And, we'll figure out what his name is when the fights happen. So, yeah, if it goes to the decision, Cedricus Dumas, but I just don't think he has the power to knock out a Michelle. So, yeah, I think for my final pick, I'm probably going to take Cedricus Dumas, man. I'm going to back, statistically speaking, it's not the best bet. He doesn't have the best grappling, he doesn't have the best striking, but yeah, he just, he's got aura, I guess. He's got a little bit of aura. Up next, first fight on the prelims. Yes, prelims. That was the early prelims. So a couple good fights in there, but we're on to the prelims now. Darren the Damage Elkins versus Julian Erosa. 2 old heads going at it. A former victim of Volk in Darren Elkins. Julian Erosa, obviously, battle-tested. Both of these guys coming off of 2 wins. I'm pretty sure Christian Rodriguez recently lost to Julian Erosa. Darren Elkins coming off of two bigger wins as well. Can't recall their names, just some prelim bums. But this is one of these old head fights. The UFC tends to put these old head fights on every now and then. We get to see the older boys get in there and brutalize each other. All right, the Matt Browns and the Tony Fergusons. So yeah, this is maybe a cut fight, even a retirement fight, even. because both of these guys will be getting up there in age. And look, as far as the pick goes for this one, it's hard because they're both scrappy dogs. It's pretty even here. I mean, Erosa definitely has the better ground game, whereas I don't think he actually has the better ground game. I don't know. It's hard because in a lot of Darren Elkins fights, he's on the ground. I think it's a pretty pick'em. It's pretty split even. They both have the good grappling. They both have that just sloppy dog striking. So that makes it even harder to pick. You got two old heads who are just traditional mixed martial artists. And for fights like this is where the Fighting Field Insights crew, this is where we really step up the game. Okay? Because we don't pick off of stats when it comes down to this close. We pick off of dog. We pick off of heart. Okay? Pick off of dog and we pick off of heart. And I mean, both of these guys have got a lot of dog in them, but who have I seen more dog out of? Darren Elkins, man, the damage. Alright? I've seen a lot more heart out of Darren Elkins. So I'm going to lean the way of Darren Elkins to end this one by decision, but I could also see a TKO on the ground. I think he's just got a lot more heart, a lot more grip, a lot more toughness. All right, I think he's going to get in there and he's just going to put that chin on a silver platter and let them old man fists fly. Give me Darren Elkins on the money line. Up next, Jim fucking Miller versus Chase the Dream Hooper. This is a hard fight. I mean, look at Jim Miller. Look how good Jim Miller is. And he's really only just coming into his own. I could definitely see him winning this fight via knockout. No, this is a bit of a layup fight for Chase Hooper. Okay, this is a layup fight for the Dream. I know there's going to be the Jim Miller fans out there who are probably riding with me on that, with what I started saying. But no, that was a joke. I think Jim Miller's just a little bit past his time. I think if he was in an old head fight like Darren Elkins, he'd probably have the leading edge. He can employ that bit of guerrilla warfare, that bit of dog, that toughness, that grit, that craftiness, if you will, the veteran knowledge, okay? That geriatric knowledge, the wisdom of an older man. He can employ that into a fight with someone who's got a little bit of mileage on the clock as well. But when it comes to a Chase Hooper, 15-3, he's only getting better. His striking's improving. When he grapples, it looks better. But he's, putting all the tools together to become that well-rounded, dangerous fighter. And, I look at youth and then I look at size. He's a modern-day fighter, man. Modern-day lightweights are bigger than these old heads. Yeah. So, I got Chase Hooper winning this one by probably submission. But then again, I mean, Jim Miller's hard to probably get down on the ground. So I could see Chase Hooper finishing this one by TKO. I could see Chase Hooper getting it done by TKO, landing a big shot, following it to the ground and struggling for a little bit because, Jim's crafty. And then, putting him out somewhere in the second, I think. Maybe even the first. Jim Miller's keys to success here in this fight, though, is to beat that old man, use old man strength, use dad strength, get out there, and just make it a scrap. Just try your best to just make it a backyard brawl. Like Jim Miller's just had 7 beers at the local bar, and his truck's parked outside, and then someone just bumps into him on the way out, and then it kicks off. Okay, that's what Jim Miller has to do to win this fight. He cannot try and make it a mixed martial arts fight. He's got to make it a barroom brawl. So yeah, but no, I have Chase Hooper to win this one, probably by TKO. Up next, Yan Xiaonan versus Jandiroba. This is actually not a bad women's fight. I know a lot of the time I give women's fights critique them. I'm critical of them. But for some reason we're loading here for a million years. Oh, okay, and we've skipped a fight. I tend to be critical on these women's fights, but in all honesty, this is a good one. This is a good women's fight, and we're still glitching out. So we're not going to look at this. We're not going to look at the specifics, but just to catch you up to speed, Yan Xiaonan, she's the better striker. We know that. Okay, she proved it against Weili Zhang. She has hands, but where she lacks is the grappling. So she's been training to grapple for 3 rounds, then I think she's all over this. If she's been training takedown defense and sprawls and how to get up, then she's all over this fight. She's going to hold on to that number 1 contender spot. But if Jandiroba can get in there and get it down and stink it up in half guard, maybe get a submission, she wins the fight, okay? So this is a really hard one. It's a good women's fight. I'm actually going to be watching this one because both of these women, quite frankly, are pretty scary looking. All right? Yeah. This is a close one, but if Yan Chanon, she's the number 1 contender for a reason. If she's played her cards right, she's done her homework, and they've trained for the fight they're meant to be fighting, she can win this. Probably by a knockout or TKO. So I'm going to take Yan Chanon in this one to get it done via finish. TKO. Up next, the last fight on the prelims. Dan Ige. Dan 50K Ige versus Sean Woodson. Alright. Just before we get into this, alright, I want to let everyone know. Me and my boy Sean Woodson, we go way back. I actually call him... Me and my boys, we actually call Sean Woodson Shawnee Wood. Because, we used to slang it back in the day. Sean Woodson, he actually won me a little bit of money not too long ago. On a multi I cashed out on him to get a finish in the first round. So, Sean Woodson, man, you're welcome at the cookout anytime, alright? I like Sean Woodson's style of fighting. I hated this guy when he kicked off. I think he just looked goofy and I was just waiting for someone to knock him out. But no one ever knocked him out. Because he's actually got really good boxing, okay? He was an actual boxer before this, and then he came to the UFC, which is sometimes a bit of a trap. But he's played his cards right, and he's won a lot of his fights. And he's got 84% takedown defense, which is something that stands out to me against a Dan Ige, who doesn't typically grapple. When he gets in them situations, he'll ride it out, but I don't think he goes in there to look for a grappling match. So, off the bat, Sean Woodson is obviously the height, the reach, leg length. He's got all of the aspects that you sort of steer towards, I guess. But this is MMA, and it's not boxing, it's not karate. And sometimes, a lot of the times, height doesn't matter. Look at Volk. Look at Sean Brady, for example. My boy Sean Brady. Leon Edwards kept talking about height this, height that. You're the same height when you're laying on your back, okay? So, height doesn't always matter. That's what we have to sort of look at here. And Dan Ige, who isn't a Charles Jourdain, who isn't I can't even think of a Sean Woodson win. Who's a good Sean Woodson win? Dan Ige is none of these guys, okay? He actually has good crack in his hands at featherweight. He can crack. And I think he's just going to sort of have that high guard, and he's going to walk forward on Sean Woodson, and he's going to pick his openings, kick the legs, and then eventually just go up top and land a big overhand. Because that's the Dan Ige special. It's that big cracking, looping overhand. I think he's going to land that shot. And if he does, he could possibly put Sean Woodson out. Because we've seen Sean Woodson to be quite chinny. We've seen Sean Woodson to have a bit of a porcelain chin, if you will. I don't think he particularly has a granite chin. I don't think he has a chin to hold up at such a light weight class. He's cutting down so much. I mean, he's 6'2". Like, that's a lot of weight to cut, Even if he is just a lengthier sort of guy, he's still going to be cutting a lot of weight to get down there. So, it's a hard fight to pick because, we finally loaded stats. Wow, that took way too long. Sean Woodson, some bum fights. A lot of bum fights. Way off time there. Way off times there. Stats. Rando stats guy. This is a hard fight to pick. Sean Woodson has the better boxing, in my opinion. Even though Dan Ige is sort of known a little bit for that boxing. For that extreme couture striking. All right, I think Sean Woodson probably has the advantage. And if all Sean Woodson has to do is to stay out of range of that big, meaty overhand, I think he's probably okay. Because, he's a boxer. If he's got decent enough head movement, I think he gets away from Dan Ige all night, and then he cruises to a unanimous decision. So I'm going to take Sean Woodson here to enter the top 15 with a unanimous decision over Dan Ige. Height doesn't always play a factor, but I think along with Sean Woodson's boxing? I think it does. So I'm going to take Sean Woodson by decision. But look for Dan Ige at some point. Could land a big shot. On to the main card. Nikta Krylov versus Dominick Reyes. Number 11 up against number 8. Dominick Reyes tries to push his way back in to the top 5. He looks to get back up there in the light heavyweight rankings. And he's up against a tough fight, man. Nikta Krylov isn't a bum. They haven't given him an easy fight here. Nikta Krylov, he's got some big wins. He's got wins over Gustafsson, Ozdemir. I can't think of his most recent one, but he has big wins. Okay? And his striking is really good, and his grappling is actually decently good as well. I mean, I think statistically speaking, he's better than Dominick Reyes on paper. He's had more experience, and yeah, statistically speaking, he's the better fighter. But you got to look at Fight Field Insights, man. I keep saying it. A lot of the time, we don't go off these stats. We go off heart. We go off dog. And I think Dominick Reyes is just going to have a lot more motivation to get into the top 8. I mean, Nikta Krylov's been hanging around in the top 10 for a while now. He doesn't seem to fight all that much. I don't think he ever really has a belt in his future. But I think Dominick Reyes, he's hungry. He's hungry to get back what he lost. Is his chin a little bit, is his chin gone? Quite so. But Nikta Krylov doesn't have a very high percentage of knockouts in the UFC. So I'd like to see Dominick Reyes. I'm going to back the roughie on this one. I don't have to do too much of a deep dive into it. We all know Dominick Reyes. We all know that Nikta Krylov's okay. I think I like Dominick Reyes to get in there and just probably be a bit more of a dog. Have a little bit more heart. Walk Nikta Krylov down and get a finish. Just a fluke finish. Because, yeah, it's Dominick Reyes. We're back in the roughie here at Fight Field Insights. We back the roughie. And we're going to take Dominick Reyes to win this one. That probably wasn't a real in-depth take there. But, hey, I like a bit of a fairy tale story. Up next, we have the long-awaited Bryce Mitchell versus Gene Silva fight. Bryce Mitchell, say what you will about the guy, okay? I don't believe I think what he said wasn't right. I don't think am I saying he's a good guy? No. All right. What I am going to say, though, is he's a damn good mixed martial arts fighter, man. He's got some really good ground game, and that's undeniable. And we haven't seen anyone test Gene Silva all that much. Man, we haven't seen anyone put Gene Silva in deep water, take him down, try and drown him, right? And Bryce Mitchell is the kind of guy who's going to do that to you. He's going to lay on you. He's going to lay on you for 3 rounds. He's not just going to lay there. He's going to be hitting you the whole time. He's going to be chasing twisters, and he's going to be looking for chokes. He's going to be looking for everything he can get on you, all right? So it just comes down to what are these fighting nerds really about? Is the stock in the fighting nerds really that high? Or are these guys bums? Are these guys at the end of the day, are they bums? You know? So, me personally, I think we've seen a lot from the fighting nerds so far. They fight often, but I don't think we've seen it all. I think they probably do have a little bit of ground game, and every fight starts on the feet as well. So Bryce has got to be careful not to walk into a big shot because Gene Silva's got quick combinations, and he does have power. And we've seen what happened to Bryce Mitchell against Josh Emmett. Josh Emmett laid Bryce out pretty viciously. Okay, everyone knows that one. But is it going to happen again? Because it's not short notice. This fight's had some time to sort of formulate. I think Bryce will be ready for a striker like Gene. But will Gene be ready for a grappler like Bryce? Because I know I said earlier, like, in the Yan Chanon gender robot fight. You know, Yan Chanon, she plays her cards right. You know, she trains for a grappler. And she gets the sprawls and she gets up and gets out of these bad positions. You know, it's a winnable fight. But Bryce Mitchell is a whole different box of frogs because he's a big featherweight and he's actually really good. He's not just jiu-jitsu good. He's not just wrestling good. He's MMA grappling good. And there's a difference there. MMA grappling good is different to just being a good grappler. So, I'm going to pick Bryce Mitchell. I think if Gene Silva cannot get back to his feet in rounds 1 and 2, you know, all Bryce needs to do is just coast 2 rounds and then survive. And he's won the fight. I think the mind games Gene Silva's playing, they're not Conor McGregor mind games. You know, I think Bryce Mitchell probably, I don't think he's mentally tough. I think he's just, he's just got that stupid in him. He's just got that stupid toughness. So, yeah, I like farm boy strength. I like Arkansas, and I like Bryce Mitchell to go in there and probably get a decision. I don't see him finishing Gene Silva. I can see a definite decision. Up next, the third feature fight on the card: Yair Rodriguez versus Patricio Pitbull. It's UFC versus Bellator. It's this age-old story. Okay, it's a promotional powerhouse. It's the promotion Super Bowl. Okay. Mexico versus Brazil. Yair Rodriguez, a former victim of Volk, versus Patricio Pitbull, former Bellator champion, I believe. I don't know much about Patricio Pitbull, guys. I'm going to be real. I didn't do too much research into the Patricio Pitbulls. I didn't. I don't know too much about the guy. I've never watched a fight. I've never seen a finish. But I know a lot about Yair Rodriguez. I know he's a hard fighter to prepare for. I know he prepares hard for fights. And if you don't have the perfect game plan to beat Yair Rodriguez, he's going to go in there. He's going to make your life hell and probably finish you. Look at what Volk had the perfect game plan to beat Yair Rodriguez. He knew the striking was dangerous, so he went out there and wrestled him for the first couple of rounds, took the wind out of his sails. All right, so Patricio Pitbull have the grappling and the fight IQ to do that. All right, I'd like to see Patricio Pitbull win actually, because I'd like to see some fresh blood break into a top 5. Are you kidding me? Of course, I want to see some fresh blood in there, but I just think more battle tested. The UFC, it's the better promotion. We got the better fighters. So I'm going to take Yair in this one. Maybe I'm just beating a dead horse by picking the UFC guy. But it's UFC, man. It's UFC. It's pretty simple. So I'm taking Yair in this one. Probably to look to finish it. Once again, though, I don't know much about Patricio Pitbull. So if he does some outstanding finish, congrats to him. I just didn't do my research into the guy. Okay, I got some more important things on my plate. On to the card and main event: Paddy Pimblet versus Michael Chandler. This one's chalk and cheese. It is clear cut. It's simple. I don't have much to say, man. The way Michael Chandler wins this, Michael Chandler wins if he just doesn't lose. Simply put, Michael Chandler wins this as long as he doesn't lose. All right. Michael Chandler loses, Paddy wins. Alright? It's the simplest way to put that. And thanks for coming. On to the main event. No, I'm serious though. This is a cool fight. I think I respect Michael Chandler sort of getting back in there. Because when did he last fight again? He fought against Charles Oliveira there not too long ago. And I appreciated that fight. I liked that fight. Michael came out there and really sharted the bed. Looked like he was just lost in there. And that's sort of what I was getting at with the meme, with the joke. His path to victory here is winning, and if he loses, then Paddy wins. Yeah, Michael Chandler's way of winning this is by winning it. As long as he doesn't lose, he wins. Because it's so unpredictable. He might go out there, he might have, a championship performance. He might, front kick you and knock you out like Tony Ferguson, or he might get walked down, taken down, and armbarred by Paddy Pimblet. It's a hard fight. It's a hard fight to pick. If you're looking off stats, everyone knows these two stats. It's going to be pretty simple, I think. It says on here, Michael Chandler's got the better of this, but I think, truly speaking, Paddy Pimblet's probably better. He's probably got a ground game advantage. I mean, the guy is just, you've seen him in jiu-jitsu tournaments and stuff. He's quite good. But it's interesting that the significant strikes are saying that it's quite split even. And then obviously Michael Chandler's got the more mitts on him, that knockout power. Hard fight to pick. Will we see Paddy get fraud checked here, properly finished? A loss. Will he get fraud checked, or will he continue? Will he continue to win? We don't know, man. But interesting fight, and I'm actually going to ride with Michael Chandler on this. And what I stated before, Michael Chandler's, if he doesn't lose, he wins. So, yeah. I'm taking Michael Chandler. If Michael wins, it'll be by a TKO. No, you know what? Actually, I'm going to take Paddy Pimblet. Sorry, Mike. The final fight of the night, the one that you've all clicked on the video to see, Alexander the Great Volkanovski is back after a year hiatus since getting viciously finished by Ilia Topuria. He's back against Diego Lopez, fighting for his former crown at featherweight. Okay, this is a huge fight, man. It's a huge fight for the Australian people. Okay, it's massive. All right, it's Volk Fight Week. Everyone I know is pumped up. Everyone I know is super hyped about this. All right, everyone's nervous. And before I get into this breakdown between these two, I just got a personal message for whoever runs, the UFC website, whoever's doing UFC media. Get this fucking picture of Volk out of here. I'm sick of seeing it. Dude, look at him. Look at him. He just looks like he's been drinking. He's been on antidepressants, just drinking hot beers and just, wakes up and has a swig of whiskey. This is what he looks like, man. He looks run down. He looks like his kids and his wife just left him. He's got no definition. He's all flabby around the shorts. No muscle definition anywhere. Chubby little legs, man. That weird shave that she shaved really weird for that Islam fight. It's like they didn't give him the right clippers in Saudi Arabia. He just doesn't look right. He never looked right. And they keep using this picture when we have an updated Ilia Topuria fight picture. Yeah, he lost in that one, but he looked shredded. He looked good, man. Alright? This picture is just... He's losing aura by the minute. It's sad. Get this shit out of here. Replace it with a new one, or the Ilia fight, or the Yair fight. Update it, bro. This is... He should be suing. He should be suing the UFC for this. And it's slander. It's slander. I'm getting carried away. Okay, we're here to break down fights, not Volkanovski fight pictures. So, on a real one though, this is one of the most terrifying fights for me. I'm a huge Volk fan. It's Sean Brady, it's Volk. Maybe Volk even above Sean Brady. I've been a Volk fan for a long time, okay? When he's a countryman, you've got to back him, alright? You always back your countryman. So I'm nervous for this one, man. I'm truly nervous for this one. Because Volk's older. He's coming off of 2 TKO, KO finishes. He's fighting a guy who's going to knock you out, okay? Like Diego Lopez, man. He is deserving of this shot, man. He's here for a reason. And that's because he's looked damn good and he's finished majority of his fights. Okay? He's got slick boxing in the pocket. He's a nasty clench boxing. Okay? His combination speed is quick, snappy, and then knockouts come from nowhere. Whenever he hits guys, it's like they just, they were just sitting down, having a glass of water. It's like they were still on the stool. And then he hits them and they're like, holy shit, I was actually fighting this guy? Diego Lopez is snappy, man. And he's the bigger fighter. It scares me for Volk, man. It scares me for Volk. But I have full confidence in my boy. And I'm about to let you know why. So we just did a little bit of a dive into Diego Lopez. Let's get on the other side of things, okay? But to start us off, Diego Lopez doesn't have that 5-round gas tank that my boy Volk's got. He does not have that 5-round gas tank, okay? Look at him in the Brian Ortega fight. Brian Ortega started to come back at points there because Diego Lopez took his foot off the gas, took his boot off the throat. All right. Same thing in the Dan Ige fight. He was controlling that fight, rounds 1 and 2. Dan Ige started to just warm up. 5-round fight. You got to think that looks different. And then everyone knows Diego Lopez flat on his back. Dan Ige pounding away. Pause. It's serious though. Diego Lopez, he's one of these fast twitch muscle fiber guys. The Conor McGregors. That was always the thing with Conor McGregor is like he's so much power in his left hand that when he let it go, it sort of gassed him out a little bit. I feel like Diego Lopez is the same, and it's the fact that he's a bigger guy and he's carrying around a lot of weight, a lot of muscle. I think he's just one of them guys who can't help but gas. He's a 3-round fighter, and if he doesn't finish you in 3 rounds, starts to look a little different. And by that I mean Volkanovski in his face, sticking a jab straight down the middle, kicking the calf, ripping the body, liver kicks. All right, that's what it starts to look like. Big blast doubles. Okay, so that's where we'll begin with what I'm about to say next. Volkanovski, he's 36. He is not the same young man who won the belt and defended it twice against Max Holloway. He's not the same young man who beat up Brian Ortega and got out of 2 nasty chokes. He's not the same man who ragdolled Yair Rodriguez. Okay, he's an older dude. He's 36. He is a crafty vet now. He is a veteran. He's a dog. He's a wise old man. Okay, and a lot of the times, it's a bad thing when the old guy's fighting the young guy, especially in title fights, man. You guys know the history. I don't have to go into it. No one's ever won the belt at lightweight and lower over the age of 35. So Volk has to be that crafty vet. Volk has to be that dog. He has to be that wise old man. He can't go in there. He doesn't have the speed on the punches anymore, Yeah, he might, but I don't think he's going to have the same Max Holloway speed on them jabs, whipping that low kick in before you can even see it coming, Volkanovski needs to completely scrap sticking the jab down the face in the first, second, third round, okay? He needs to scrap the low kicks. He needs to scrap the outside foot battle. He needs to scrap all that because that's not what's going to win him this fight. I'm telling you right now, what's going to win Volk this fight is being crafty. It's shooting takedowns and it's taking the wind out of Diego Lopez's sails. Just like Sean Brady did to Leon Edwards. You deal with these dangerous strikers, you got to get them down in the first couple of rounds, man, and you've got to take the wind out of their sails. While you're both dry, there's no sweat on you, capitalize on that, take the wind out of Diego Lopez's sails, and control him on the ground for 1, 2, 3 rounds. Gas him out a little bit, man. Make him try and struggle to get to the feet. Maybe even look for submissions. We know Volk doesn't have a submission yet in the UFC. Maybe now that he's getting a little bit old, he might be looking to get out of there a little bit earlier. Might not want to put a whole 5-rounder in. He's got to go home. He's got his late night television program on. Okay, I don't want to lean too much into the old man Volk meme, but it's getting a little bit true now. Okay, Volk's key to winning this is guerrilla warfare. Okay, it's setting traps in the jungle. All right, booby traps, tripwires, landmines, and it's walking Diego Lopez into them. That's Volkanovski's key to victory here. It's guerrilla warfare. He's got to go out there and he's got to fight a veteran fight, okay? Set the traps, pull the tripwires, set up the landmines, and just walk Diego Lopez into him all night long, man. He's got to be a lot smarter. He's got to really put that fight IQ to work. And he's got to drain down the clock, and he's got to hope he comes out either on the other side of a scorecard or a just demoralized, tired Diego Lopez, okay? Guerrilla warfare, that's it. That's my pick for Volkanovski. I'm going Volkanovski by guerrilla warfare. He's got to go out there and he's just got to set the tone, take the wind out of Diego's sails. And then when Diego's softened up a little bit, maybe doesn't have the same sting behind them combinations, then get in his face. Pop, jab, pop, pop, pop. Kick the calf. Bring that low kick in. Then maybe play the outside foot battle. Yeah. That's what he has to do to win this fight. So, yeah, man, I'm taking Volkanovski. Of course, I was taking Volkanovski, but on a real one, though, no matter the outcome, either one of these guys win, they're going to be phenomenal champions, okay? Yes, I'm a huge Volk fan, but whoever wins this is going to be a phenomenal champion for the UFC because they're active fighters, they fight anyone, and they're not scared of a scrap, okay? So, the fairy tale ending would be beautiful, okay, for Volkanovski to win, get his belt back, be the first guy to break the undefeated, the first fighter to win a belt in the lower weight classes at 30, 35, 36. Okay, that'd be beautiful. Make history, win the belt back. Okay, the fairy tale would be amazing. But we are living in the real world, and sometimes you have to come to terms with Diego being the younger guy, and maybe his cardio will look good. and this whole circumstantial breakdown on the fight that I've just done might not be so true. Diego might just control every part of this fight, every asset. He might finish it in the first, which I doubt he will, because Volkanovski's going to use guerrilla warfare. But all that being said, guys, that's all I've got to break down for today. There was a lot of fights in here to go through. I'm sorry this one took a little bit longer. We'll be putting timestamps at the end of the video, throughout the video, rather, sorry, so you guys can just pick to the breakdowns you just want to see. Just quickly on one before I get out of here, just want to say we did average on the Josh Emmett Murphy card. We picked 50-50. I didn't bother doing a video for it this week just because there's a lot on my plate. Okay, and I think this was a little bit more of a priority, getting this one out to you guys as soon as possible. Okay, so thanks guys for watching another episode of Fight IQ, and I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching. I come from the land down under.